and welcome to the debut of Hoops and Hers. I am your host and moderator, Lakeisha KB Brooks, and we have a jam-packed show for you today. We're going to cover topics that may be a little controversial for others, and we're also going to talk about some very fun topics like All-Star Weekend, which is about to start here very soon. Now, before I dive into it, I want to introduce our esteemed panel, the ladies that I think make this show what it is. I'm just here to make sure it flows, but they're the ones that make it go. So let's introduce our esteemed panel as I bring them into our conversation. We have Anne-Marie, Courtney, and Keena. How are you ladies today?
Doing good. Excited.
Excited. Good. Now, this is the debut of our show. And I just want to get people to know you all a little bit in case they haven't gone to our website, which is kbsportsmedia.net. Make sure to go there to check out their bios. So each of you, just very quickly, introduce yourself, about 30 seconds or so. Anne-Marie, tell everybody about you.
Hey, you all. My name is Anne-Marie Armstrong. I am a Georgia native, born and raised, played basketball at the University of Georgia, played professionally for 7 years. And I'm just super excited to be on this podcast and to be with the fellow on-air analysts as well as KB. So looking forward to this first show today.
Absolutely. Courtney.
Hi, guys. My name is Courtney Lumpkin. I was raised in Newark, New Jersey. Went to college at Monmouth University, played basketball there. I've been in public service for about 16 years, and now I'm doing the analyst podcast thing, and I'm loving it. I'm excited for the panel of women that I'm working with, and just, ready to tackle all these topics. Basketball's in my heart, never left my heart, so this is something I love.
All right, and Keena.
Hey everybody, I'm Keena. I am a Kansas City, Missouri girl. Been a lover of basketball my entire life. I'm a sports content creator. I'm also a full-time content creator. I have another podcast. So I just love talking about all things sports. And I'm super excited to be with these ladies today and for every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So now we're going to talk about something very exciting. And that is All-Star Weekend in Chicago. And Keena actually will be there doing her content creation, representing herself, representing us, and doing her, as they say, big ones in Chicago. And I want to talk about All-Star Weekend, what we can expect from that, and what you're most excited about. Now, Keena, I know you're very excited because you are obviously going to be there. And we all are a little bit jealous of the fact that you're going to be there and we don't get a chance to, join you there. But Keena, what are you most excited about as it relates to All-Star Weekend?
First of all, I would love for all of you to be there, but we'll do that next year. We'll put that's going to be us next year. We'll all be there together and have fun together. But I'm just super excited, number one, to just be there. I just want to experience everything that the league has, especially in one of my favorite cities to visit. Chicago is top tier elite for me, but I can't wait for all the activations, the events. I know the energy is going to be high, and I'm going to be speaking on a creators panel, and I got invited to a private dinner. So I'm super excited about those things. And I just want to be able to network, connect, meet some of my favorite players, but I'm just most excited about the big game.
Wow. Sounds like a jam-packed few days for you. And I'm a little jealous. I didn't get that invite, but it sounds like it's going to be super fun for you. Now, Courtney, what are you most excited about for All-Star Weekend?
I'm most excited about the matchups. It's a star-powered lineup for Team Coop and Team Spoon. So I'm excited for the matchups that are going to happen. You got Asia Wilson and Aaliyah Boston actually teaming up. So that's going to be great to see them on a team. I'm excited about the rookies who are going to be a part of this All-Star year. You got Olivia Miles. You have everything that she's brought to the game so far. And I'm really excited to see her, what she's going to be able to do. And I'm hoping that somebody can break Nafisa Collier's scoring record from last year.
Oh, okay. That's something to really look out for. And it could be was maybe her teammate, Olivia. Who knows? Anne-Marie, what are you most excited about?
Gosh, when you're there, there's so many fun things to do. I went the last 2 years. The WNBA fan experience is so fun to walk through. I went to Coach, got a cute bag. They have personalizations you can do there. So you could get like the stamp of the WNBA logo. You can get some nice Playa Society gear, which she always does so awesome with all of her gear. I love the orange carpet, which is kind of like the red carpet. You get to see all the ladies kind of just flaunt their style, their fashion, their personalities. I think that is super fun. And as you all mentioned, the game, I think just seeing the players interact, a lot of them play USA together. A lot of them have played together. So also seeing kind of the flair, the messing with each other. I think it's really fun to just see that interaction from all the stars. And then not a major thing, but I think a lot of people are excited. As we know, the Stud Buds are coming back with their 72-hour live stream. So I know that's going to be fun for a lot of people to just keep up with the events. And through that stream, you also get to see, a lot of the players out at parties interacting, socializing. So it gives people who don't have the opportunity to be invited to these events to at least have a little bit of a glimpse into what's occurring.
Yeah, I mean, it's so exciting. So Keena's going this year. Anne-Marie has gone before. Now, Courtney, have you ever gone to WNBA All-Star Weekend?
I have not made it out to All-Star Weekend yet. I'm definitely on the email watch list and looking at things. Yeah. So within the next year, maybe next year, just depending on the location and how things work out, I'm definitely wanting to go and experience all the things. I'm hoping it would be nice for it to be in Atlanta next year. So if it were in Atlanta, then that'd be perfect.
Yeah, no, that'd be really great. So I have not been to WNBA All-Star Weekend, only NBA All-Star Weekend. And it was where in Atlanta. So to Courtney's point, I did not travel to see the men either. It was right here in Atlanta. I was 18 years old. I was super excited. So it will be nice to have that same experience with the WNBA as well. And so Anne-Marie, you talked about you've attended before. Now you are a former professional player. Did you go when you were in your playing days, or had you retired? I mean, because you're still pretty young. Had you retired?
I've gone actually the last 2 years. So I went when it was in Phoenix, which was super fun. I love Phoenix, Scottsdale area. I think it's just beautiful. That one was super fun. My sandals almost melted walking around on the asphalt. So you got to be ready for the heat. But no, I think it's just such a fun event. I think, some players utilize it who are in the All-Star game as a little bit of a break to regroup, go see family. Some go to the All-Star game to support their colleagues. But I think it's just such an exciting thing to have in the middle of the season. Kind of marks that midpoint as well. So no, it's such a great time. And it sounds like Keena is going to be playing in our next trip. Next year, we're all going to go.
Yeah, we're all going to go next year.
We're going to go on the road, whatever it is. We're going to go on the road. Hoops and Hers will be on the road in 2027. Look out for that. If you want to sponsor, please email us.
Please.
As well. And Keena, I know that you're doing a lot of activations, a lot of things. And you named quite a few things that you are going to be doing. What's the one thing of all of those things you're going to be doing that you are most excited about?
So, I didn't get into the long list. I had to map out everything. There's so much to do, and things are all over the place. But the first thing that I got invited to was this private dinner. I do not know who's going to be there, but I know it's a private dinner that I'm excited to go to. So that's really what I'm excited about. And it's going to be I leave tomorrow, so it's Thursday night. So there's other things going on Thursday night, but this is the one I'm most excited about. And I'm going to go live from there. I'm going to share stuff with you guys. So I'm excited about that. And I get to dress up. So.
Oh, who doesn't love to dress up on the orange carpet? Is it an orange carpet as well for this event?
I don't even know. It's very secretive.
We're going to find out when you find out.
Yes.
That's what it seems like is going to happen. Absolutely fun. So let's switch gears. We talked about what we're most excited about. I want to know, which player do you think is going to have the biggest All-Star weekend? Now, do not forget about skills competition, three-point competition. Of course, we've talked about the game itself, but of all the competitions and all the players that are going to be there, who do you think is going to have the biggest weekend? Anne-Marie, what are your thoughts?
Well, she's already been mentioned, and I think she's just been at the forefront conversation for All-Star, but Olivia Miles, for me, is going to have a great, great game. And just Gosh, she has just been so fun to watch. As she came in, I mean, it's hard to adjust as a rookie, and she has just fully embraced her role with the Lynx. Amidst not having Nafisha Collier, I mean, she has really stepped in. So I think this All-Star game, I think we're going to see from her, a lot of fun, crazy passes, scoring from all three levels. And I really think just seeing her continue to be confident. I really liked what she said in an interview recently, which was that a lot of people mistake my confidence for arrogance, and I don't know why. A lot of successful people in this world are people that are confident, believe in themselves and what they do. And so for me, it just really spoke to, yes, she's playing with swag. She has that fire, but it's really just confidence, and people are misinterpreting it. But I think we'll see a great showing from her, scoring, getting all the players involved. I mean, she's going to have a lot of assists, I think, as well as score at over 20 points.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say that people, sometimes mistake that confidence for arrogance, but she has shown it time and time again on the court. She's shown it with passing, with driving, with shooting. So it's a player that if anyone wants to have that confidence, especially as a rookie, I think that she's earned that opportunity to do so. So now Keena, and again, you're going to be right there in the forefront. Which player do you think is going to have the biggest All-Star weekend?
Well, of course, I was going to talk about Olivia, but I have another one too. I am going to talk about Paige Beckers because she is Paige Beckers. So, Paige is always primed for All-Star. Her game is always giving All-Star energy. So she's just going to be great. She's efficient. She's always competitive. And when those lights come on, Paige definitely levels up. So I'm looking forward to her just taking over and having a breakout moment and just being the girl that we're all talking about. Paige, any stage Paige is on is a big stage, and I know she's going to do well this time around.
Yeah, I think Paige is somebody again that has done some great things and should have a standout All-Star weekend. And Courtney, who do you think is going to have that biggest All-Star weekend?
Well, she has the biggest impact in the league, one of the biggest impacts in the league. So I got to go with A'ja Wilson. Always have to go with A'ja Wilson. 3-level scorer, rebounding, and even on the defensive end. I'm looking forward to, again, her being able to pair up with Aaliyah Boston. I think it's going to be pretty tough to get some points in the paint with the two of them actually defending the paint. But just looking for everything that A'ja Wilson is going to bring, mid-level scoring in the paint, and just being an exciting player that she is and everything that she can do. I think All-Star Weekend is always something, a way to see her shine. And I'm really looking forward to that from her performance and what she's going to do.
Speaking of A'ja Wilson, some of you all may know that we attend the pressers and cover some of the aces. And I sat on the presser with her last night after their win. And she had such a joy about her. You could just feel the love that she has for the game. And one of the journalists asked her about the joy. Chelsea Gray said that there's joy that they have on this team. They have joy with playing with each other. And they asked her about that. And she says, basketball is my world. And that she wants everyone to be their best authentic selves. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about the face of the league or the biggest impact on the game. So I'm just curious if you all's thoughts to hear, even though you weren't in the presser, just kind of what I just shared about her saying that basketball is her world. So when he talks about where that joy comes from, it's because it's literally who she is and part of what she does every day. Keena, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, to hear that is amazing because she's out there for the right reasons. She's out there because she enjoys it. She still has a love and a passion for the game. So she's out there living her best life as we can see. And it's just great to see it, to hear that. A lot of players are just, I'm not going to say a lot of players. Some players are just playing to play, but she's playing because she loves it. She loves, and we love her being the face of our league because we can see that joy in her when she's out there with her teammates, when she's having a good time, when she's having those great games. So I love to hear it.
Yeah. Any thoughts from you, Anne Marie or Courtney, about that?
I mean, I just think A'ja Wilson in general, we know the force she is. We know how talented she is, multiple time MVP as well as WNBA champion. But I think what's so big about her leadership is, first of all, her passion on the court. You can see how much she cares on her and ones or when mistakes are just frustration, she's someone you can say is truly invested. And I think what I love about Asia Wilson is her ability to bring people along with her. I think that she's so well respected. She's well spoken. She gives respect and to other players as well. And she's the top player. So I think just hearing this just really resonates with so amazing of a person, a player, a human being, and really cares about people. And just basketball is her life. She's so passionate about it, and just her ability to make people around her better and bring more people together.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Just piggybacking off of what you're saying, and questions and how she's able to articulate how she feels about the game. There was another question that was asked to her about the changes that were coming to the schedule and having to play more. And her response was literally, "This is my job. This is my world." Mm-hmm. Like, it may be hard, it may be difficult, but she didn't waver from the challenge. And she just said, "Hey, basketball is my world." And I love that about her, as well as her approach to the game. So during the off season, she's taking care of her body, her mental health, everything to get prepared for the next season, which we see a lot of players, they don't do that. They're playing, they go to Unrivaled, or they're playing in different leagues and things like that year round. But Asia really takes that time to regroup and give everything that she has to the WNBA season. And I think that's a different approach, which is keeping her body healthy, and I think it helps her overall performance throughout the year and how she's able to sustain. So just her approach, her mentality, and just being herself, being able to be serious, but also being able to laugh and just have fun, bringing the fun back to the game.
Yeah, I think that we all can say that Asia has done a great job representing not just herself, but the league, and being the face and carrying that for generations and generations after that. So now we're going to switch gears and talk about a topic that has really dominated the WNBA headlines. And that topic is about Sandy Brondello. And the comments that were made, or the comment that was made on Friday night against the Atlanta Dream, where she stated, in talking about Angel Reese, stating that Angel is a protected species. Angel Reese responded to that on her X and said, "Always surprised," with a clown face emoji at that as well. Since then, Coach Brondello has apologized and has a response and said, in quote, "Unfortunately, I should have took a break and realized where I am in America, because I know racism is such a big issue here. I've been in this league for 27 years, and obviously I've never had any issues like this, because there are my teammates, and I've learned so much from your Black players that I've coached and that I've had on my staff." Coach Brondello was suspended for one game in the game last night. Also, Coach Becky Hammond spoke about the issue as well and said, "I gave her a big hug," speaking about Coach, "when I saw her. I know what's in her heart. I know her as a very high quality person, someone that's filled with a lot of love for everyone." So this topic, again, has really dominated and has been controversial on both sides. Despite what you feel or not feel about it, we've seen people that find the comment offensive and those that say, "Hey, it's part of the vernacular in Australia." So now I'm going to turn to my panel and ask you all about this particular, not comment itself, but about the suspension. Do you all feel that the comment warrant a suspension for Coach Brondello? And I'm going to start with you, Anne Marie.
Awesome. I definitely believe that this warranted a suspension. I think right now, just given the political climate, what's occurring in the WNBA recently with Chelsea Gray, Alyssa Thomas was getting death threats after a flagrant foul was called against her in an Indiana game. I just think right now that the WNBA has to continue to have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to anything that can be said that is racist. That is condescending, and this calling someone a protected species is definitely not a smart move. I know, as we saw, Timmy Fagbenle, who plays under Coach Brundello, came out to state that she didn't necessarily see it as a problem and stated that the suspension was laughable. I don't know if that was a good stance to take either, but I do believe that you have to have consequences for these kind of actions in a league that stands on equality, uplifting women, diversity, inclusion. Those things have to be at the forefront of the WNBA and has to continue to grow throughout. And as I stated, I mean, I agree with the suspension. Do I believe she had malintent or was coming from malice or being evil? No, not necessarily. But as a head coach, you have a lot more pressure on you. You have accountability, and you're held to a much higher standard than any other people, whether it's a fan. So I believe that this was the right move by the WNBA, because moving forward, we have to protect our players and we have to stand on inclusivity, protecting minorities, and doing what's right. And people might not agree. I saw some things, people saying, why did Angel feel this way? Well, that is not our decision to make of how it made her feel. If that's how it made her feel, that's how it made her feel, period. So at the end of the day, I'm glad that she was suspended. I think that the accountability that she took was great. Sometimes people like to sweep it under the rug and not state, I was wrong, I should not have done that. So at the end of the day, it seems that hopefully this has been wrapped up. Sandy Brundello has, learned her lesson and will think before she uses species or breed or words that are just not conducive to refer to female athletes or humans in general. So that's my thought on that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And you talked about two of the incidents that we're going to talk about a little bit later, because this is just one of many incidents, as you mentioned, that the WNBA is dealing with and facing as well. And I want to hear from you, Keena. What are your thoughts on the suspension?
Yeah, and I'll speak from this as my perspective. Number one, as a Black woman, I understand how language, tone, and power dynamics show up in this league. So do I believe she should have been suspended? Yes. When you're leading a team in a league where most of the players are Black women, your words just don't exist in a vacuum. They shape the environment, the trust, and the sense of safety that your players feel. You don't want your players feeling like, hey, am I protected by my coach? Does my coach feel this way about me, or anything like that? So it just crossed the line, and it was it was harmful, especially for Angel, because she took it that way. We can't speak on how she took it, how she felt, because that's her feelings. I don't think the suspension is just for the sake of punishment. It's about accountability, which Sandy did take accountability in her direct apology to Angel. I like to say direct apology because we've seen people apologize and then not go directly to that person. So I did appreciate that part. I know a lot of people will say, well, I'm not accepting the apology. Well, it's not your apology to accept. It's Angel. So whatever she goes from there is her business. But coaches are responsible for modeling professionalism, respect, care. And when they fall short, there has to be consequences for that. So for me, the suspension signals that the league is willing to protect its players at some point, and it upholds the values that the league is about equality. So that's my perspective on it.
All right. And Courtney, what are your thoughts?
So in just answering a suspension, I don't know that I'm on the same side with the panel with the suspension. I do think that basketball is an emotional sport. It's extremely emotional. When you look at this Toronto Tempo team and Sandy Brundello coming to this team, they started out great. I mean, they've had injury after injury. In addition to everything that the league has been dealing with, a lot of it has been centered around the officiating and their frustration with the officiating. So to what Anne-Marie said, I don't think there was malice with what she said. I think it was a very emotional statement. She said it in a heated point or in a heated time in the game. Wrong choice of words. Extremely wrong choice of words. I get there may be in a different culture, this may not be looked at as a bad thing or something that is such a harsh comment. However, in this culture, this climate, wrong words. You cannot refer to anyone as a protected species in that matter. I do love that she took accountability for it. I do love that she apologized directly to Angel Reese, but I think it speaks to a bigger frustration level with the officiating. I think it speaks to a bigger level of the climate that we're in right now. And you do have to be super mindful of anything that comes out of your mouth, especially when you're emotional and you have a leadership position. You are held to a higher standard. I think that the suspension was just the WNBA and the league saying we have to draw the line somewhere. And for a person who has a great reputation with other players, as Becky Hammond stated, and they know that there was no malice intended, or they feel like they know her character well enough to know that she wasn't being malicious, you just kind of hate that it falls with Sandy Brondello having high character and just kind of being in an emotional moment and that happening. But you have to draw the line somewhere. You have to say, this is not okay. And the suspension for Sandy Brondello is where the W is saying, hey, we draw the line here.
Yeah, I want to ask anyone on the panel, because I heard mention that different culture and whatnot, how much should that play a factor in the suspension? The fact that someone is using a different vernacular, and because that's what they're accustomed to, how much should that have played, or at all, in the suspension of actually being from a different culture? Anyone that wants to address that.
I think it can be considered. I've lived in quite a few different countries, so I do understand sometimes there's a little bit of a barrier, or there can be things lost in translation, like it means this and the direct translation means this, but so I can see where that occurs, and I think it should be a little bit taken into account. But I still do think you've been in the United States, as she's mentioned. She's been coaching in the WNBA. She is aware of the current political state, and further diversion. Things are just seem to, from a racial standpoint. So I think it should be taken into consideration. But also, you are in the United States. You are in the WNBA as a coach. And as Courtney mentioned, you're held to a higher standard. So I think given she was so direct in her apology, I think people were more willing to kind of take in the whole thing and say, maybe this wasn't malice. Maybe she doesn't have ill intent. It's just something that she said, and then there's no coming back from it. So I think that it's been handled. It seemed Angel, I accept the apology. She said she's received so much support. And she really just wants to move on to winning basketball, essentially. So I think that it can be taken into account when you come from a different culture, but still you have to uphold the standards and those big keys for the WNBA, which is inclusivity, diversity, and uplifting women. So
any other last thoughts before we talk about Angel's apology?
Well, I'll just kind of piggyback off of what Anne Marie said. Like, you've been here long enough. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. I don't believe that there was any malice behind what she said because, she is not from here. They use different words in other countries. So I get that. But, the species word, it just didn't fit for that. And I get the frustration too with the officials. Like, I'm frustrated and I'm just a fan. So I totally understand that. But I feel like she did understand she was wrong. And that's why her apology came across full of accountability. So, you can take it into consideration, but you still have to have consequences behind certain things.
All right, great. So let's switch over. We've heard mention about Angel's response to the situation as well. So I want us to take a look at the apology. For those that have not read it, we're just going to share here as well, just some of what she said here. She stated it's been overwhelming with a lot of love and other things, but I am grateful that the league took action regarding what happened. There's no place for discrimination or hate in this league from anyone, whether it's fans, coaches, or players. She later on goes on to say that she's grateful that they're able to move on from the situation and playing basketball. The WNBA is supposed to be positive. We're in a great place right now. And she wants to continue that and to move forward. So what are some of your biggest takeaways from Angel Reese's response to Coach Brondello's statement? And let's hear from Courtney first.
Okay. The way I took her apology when I saw it is you could see the emotion, right? She was extremely emotional while she was talking about it, but it seems like something where she just wants to move on, right? It happened. There's so much going on in the sport that's positive, that's great, and it happened. And Angel bears the weight of a lot of comments, a lot of negativity, but she wanted to focus on the positive. And I think that shows the strength and the character that she has, that she wanted to accept what happened, but then move on in a positive direction, because things like that can really drag you down. As a player, mentally, it can become heavier, and it's contagious, right? It can then move into the locker room and create an environment that's not healthy for the team. And as a strong player, a strong teammate, the strong leader that Angel is, she didn't want to dwell in what was negative, because you have to move on. They had a game that night when she made the statement. You have to move on, or else it drags down the team. The Dream are in a very pivotal point of the season, and to focus on a negative comment could really drag the team down and put them in another slump. They just had one win. So I think her response was very mature. It was, I take the weight, I take the hit, I take the blow for the team, and we're going to keep moving on. And I'm going to just use this energy and put it on the court and play better. And she had a great game that night too.
I like the word mature. I like that you use that, because depending on how it's received, as we said, like, we can't speak to how Angel felt, how she should respond. But depending on who the person is, they could receive it and respond in a completely different way. So I love that you use that word mature and say, hey, I'm going to put this on my shoulder and I'm going to let it move on so that we can play some really good basketball. And they actually did have the win. It was a close win, a very exciting game down to the wire during that game as well. So Anne Marie, what are your thoughts on Angel's response?
Well, it's funny Courtney used the word mature, because my main thing that I wanted to say is I just really commend Angel Reese on her maturity and how she handled the situation. I mean, this is something, yes, it was a big story, but it probably could have been a bigger story depending on how Angel responded. And I really, as Courtney said, I mean, this is just a time where there's a lot of sensitivity around race, and it shouldn't be condoned. And it stinks Angel, again, has to be kind of at the forefront of receiving comments or remarks. But I mean, what more could she have done? I don't think she could have handled it any better. I mean, as a player and as an African-American Black player, she has to be able to advocate for herself. All players need to be able to advocate for themselves, especially when they feel uncomfortable or they feel, in this case, disrespected. It's not okay. So for me, I'm just blown away by her maturity. I think even watching her on the court, I think she has really stepped into such a mature role. I mean, she's making sure other players are good, but in this case here, I mean, she said what she needed to say. She accepted the apology. She acknowledged she's received love from supporters, fans, the WNBA community. And then, pretty much, okay, I'm good. Let's move forward and let's get back to winning basketball games. And I think that's the best way she could have handled it.
All right, Kim.
Yeah, I mean, one of my biggest takeaways was just her grace. She appreciated the apology. She accepted the apology. She acknowledged it, and she chose to move forward without letting that moment define who she is. She's been through several moments like this, as we've discussed. And for this one, I just felt like she took it. She accepted the apology, but she also set the tone. And with that, it's like respect still matters, and my feelings do still matter. So she wasn't like excited about the suspension, but she appreciated it because it looked like, hey, the league is trying to protect me in some things. So I felt like her level of maturity is something that we really haven't seen yet, but it's on display now. So I was just happy for her to just be ready, like, hey, we're here. We've done it. We settled it, and we're going to move on and keep playing basketball, because that's what we're missing in a lot of these issues. We're missing the game behind it. So,
yeah, and that's a great segue to our next topic that is also a little heavy and a little deep, but we've kind of mentioned it quite a few times so far, and just the conversation just with Angel Reese and even with Asia Wilson, we talked about it. Of course, this is a part of a bigger conversation and a bigger trend that we're seeing across the league with the WNBA and politics and race. And as I mentioned before, our panelists have talked about it quite a few times. We've seen a number of incidents that have happened, a number of situations that have happened, and we actually heard Anne-Marie talk about a few of them. One of them, of course, being Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark. And last month during the game between the Fever and the Mercury, Alyssa Thomas made contact. Her fist made contact with Caitlin Clark's throat during a scramble for a ball. There was no call made at the time, and then it was upgraded later, and Thomas was suspended, and she was issued a flagrant foul as well in the situation. She, as mentioned with Anne-Marie has spelled before, she's received mounting racist comments, even death threats as well. And she spoke out about being protected and saying that the commissioner and other leaders in the organization in the WNBA should be taking more responsibility for protecting players from these type of comments and death threats. But there's no place for that in the league as well. And as she stated, it's unfortunate that it's come to this all over basketball. She said, all of us, including myself, didn't even know that play took place until after the game because they're making a basketball play. And I'm sure all of us, whether you played little league or even in professional level, you're scrappy, you go for a ball, and that sort of thing happens as well. There were also other incidents as well. And I think Anne-Marie may have also mentioned that as well. And that particular one we talked about it with Chelsea Gray. And this was actually the screenshot of the comment that was made. And we blurred out the N-word because we don't want to share that here on our show. But this is what was said to her in an inbox and a DM and the disturbing message she receives. And of course, this person has been released from their job for making such statements as well. We also saw other things. I don't know if you all have seen Angel McCoughtry made a comment as well. And I'll share that for those that haven't seen it. And for those that are not familiar with Angel McCoughtry, she is the original Angel for The Dream and all-star, I think, WNBA legend in her own right. Definitely Atlanta Dream legend. And this is what she said on her threads, that she hates that the WNBA has become a black and white thing instead of a basketball thing. I saw some of the comments that were made towards Angel when she made the statement. Some supporting and others that did not support what she said as well. So there have been a lot of things. And the last thing that I'll highlight before I hear from our panelists is Commissioner Adam Silver. And Adam Silver is actually the NBA commissioner, but also works heavily with the WNBA commissioner and what he does. And he frankly said that the situations have happened, and he was speaking mainly to the Caitlin Clark situation, and the situations, I guess, is become a political football in this country. And that's what he said, quote, political football in this country. So we have all of these situations that I spoke of, and of course the panelists have spoke of as well. And I want to go to you all because this is a bigger issue than just a comment about protected species or a comment about calling someone the N-word. It is a bigger problem that seems to be going on in the ecosystem for the WNBA. So I'm going to ask you all, and I want to start with you, Anne-Marie. What impact do you think that politics and race have had on the growth of the WNBA and its identity?
I mean, I think the impact has been pretty huge, and I think we're able to see that. I would start with, saying, first of all, the rapid growth lately. I mean, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese coming out of college, I think that sparked a massive interest. But then it seemed that for some reason it was like the Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. And unfortunately, Angel Reese got painted a lot of times to be kind of a villain or just not in a good light when there's not many differences between her and Caitlin Clark. They're both competitors. They both perform. Basketball is, what they excel at. But I would say, more specifically, just speaking to opportunities, equal opportunities. You know, Caitlin Clark came in and she's had so many endorsements, so many deals. I mean, there's players on her team, Kelsey Mitchell, who is performing incredibly. I think she's had 10 past games scoring over 20 points, which is almost the second most by any guard in WNBA history with that long of a 20-point plus. But I just think for some reason what's occurring currently in the United States, unfortunately, we have a president who has an agenda to further divide when it comes to race. And then it seems also in the WNBA with, unfortunately, Caitlin Clark's fan group as well. A lot of them are the ones that are sitting on their computer after games. It's the reason Alyssa Thomas, I mean, and her fiance, Duana Bonner, they also have kids. There's a family there, you know? So it's like, it's a lot of things going on. And how I really feel is that, I mean, the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, she has to do more. She has to use her voice. You're a white woman over a league that is a predominantly Black, diverse group. She has to use her voice. And that's what white women, we have to do. We have to use our voice to continue to spread what is real, to speak on what is wrong, and to stand as an ally. And I think right now it seems like people who have the spotlight or the ability, not everyone is using that platform in a positive way that they could. I think Paige Beckers does a great job on speaking to African-American women, being supportive, speaking to, there are still inequalities everywhere in the United States. It's just some people prefer, who are doing well and thriving, they don't want to look at it because it's going to change things for them. But I just think the political stance in the WNBA as well as in the United States right now, it's rough. And, you know, it's 2026. I wish that I saw things continuing to get better, but it's really sad. And I'm obviously not a person of color, but I have a lot of friends and I've been in the basketball world. And I just really think it's sad to continue to see someone's getting a message. Chelsea Gray's getting a message from someone who works at a Hotel Grand Vacation. Like, dude, now you don't have a job. And, you know, where the WNBA couldn't necessarily do something specifically to him, I think with that occurrence as well as Alyssa Thomas occurrence, Sandy Brondello thing, it had to be a suspension. They have to control the people and the things they can control. And I would say politics has had a big, has contributed a lot to the WNBA's growth as well as the identity.
Yeah. And Courtney, what are your thoughts?
So when you talk about the impact that politics have, the thing that comes to mind is exactly what Chelsea Gray said when she mentioned, and people tell us to just kind of like shut up and play basketball. Even if that were the case, even if they were just playing basketball, there was a letter that came from Congress, I believe it was. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but the letter and the attention is coming from outside sources that address specific players in specific situations. And you just kind of wonder, like, well, what was the motivation behind that? Because that's not the first really physical play to happen in the league. The league has traditionally been a physical league. A lot of players talk about their rookie moments when they're welcome to the WNBA league because it was a physical moment where they ran into a screen, they were fouled, something happened that spoke to the physicality of the game, that said, hey, welcome to the league, welcome to the big girl league, right? You're going from college, so welcome to the pros. And it wasn't a race thing. It's happened to everyone. There have been fights, there have been scuffles that didn't get the attention of Congress, that didn't get the negativity, like the threats to other people's lives and families and the hatred. And it's just like what brings about this tone now is really sad. Like to speak to what Anne-Marie said, it's really sad that it's not about basketball. It's not about the skill set. There are all these other things, whether it's a Caitlin Clark fan, an Angel Reese fan, or if it's happening either way, it's just sad that people have such negative things to say to players who are just going out trying to play and live in their passion, who are trying to provide for their family, and just still have a positive impact on the kids who are coming up. It's sad that we now have people who are sitting behind the computer screen or behind their phones and sending these hateful messages. Yes, freedom of speech is a real thing. You can say whatever it is that you want to say, but I think there's always consequences when you make certain comments. So the politics they haven't been the best for the league, and I think just as well as it can influence it negatively, there's a way for it to be and influence positively. And I think we maybe need more politicians to step in and do something positive. Maybe the league needs to do something different to counteract that. I don't know what the answer is, but I mean, there's always two sides to it.
Yeah, it's always the balance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you talked about being basically initiated. You know, you and I joked. I remember going from middle school to high school, and I told you about the one girl that just gave this crazy. She just always did these crazy screens and pics, and you're just like, "Girl, what are you doing? We're on the same team." So it kind of reminded me when you said that, and we were both Black girls. That sometimes you remember that time when you were welcome to high school, college, pros, whatever that is as well. So great point. Keita, what are your thoughts?
Wow, it's from listening to both Courtney and Anne Marie, it's the same thoughts. It's really sad that this is 2026 and we're still dealing with this. It's really sad that this is the state of what our country is in, and it bleeds into basketball, which is supposed to be fun and exciting, and we're not getting that. We're getting mess. Like Adam Silver, I really, really want him to stay out of women's business and focus on his league, and Kathy really dive in and focus on what the ladies of the W need protection from. And I feel like that's being missed. And I just hate to see that. I hate to see what Chelsea Gray has gone through. That was completely unnecessary. And now this man doesn't have a job because you decided to be disrespectful to someone that has done nothing to you. And the fact that we have to see that and we have to watch these ladies go through these things, whether it's Angel Reese, whether it's AT, Courtney Williams dealing with someone that had something to say to her, even though Courtney's always going to clap back. So that really didn't bother her none. But it's sad that we have to deal with racial issues in sports. And right now, with everybody coming to watch the league now, with Caitlin and with Angel being there, it's not becoming fun for some people that really just want to enjoy the game. So I really wish it didn't play a part, but it's playing a real big part in the W right now.
Yeah, it's interesting that you all kind of are sharing the same sentiments with this. I think that when we saw Angel and Caitlin come in, it did welcome in and usher in a lot of new basketball fans for women's basketball who never watched it. And I always like to say, we welcome you. We've been around for quite some time now. We're on year 30. Thank you. Where have you been, right? But with that, you do see some of the other things, the negative things that come along with that as well. Because you can just think about it, just from everyday people, we as people experience people that feel they can say things on your comments or in your inbox. Can you imagine how more amplified that is when you are an athlete or a celebrity or whatever you are and you're in the public life, where people feel they have the right to say that because they're a fan and they can say whatever and they're untouchable. And I will tell you, I've contacted jobs too before. Let's look at my HR background. I've contacted a few jobs as well because I think that it's bleeding over from what we're seeing in society, and it's bleeding over into our sport. And so what Keita's point is, we just want to watch sports to be entertained. That's when we're supposed to get a break from all the shenanigans of life, our job, of craziness, of politics. We're supposed to just watch sports and be able to get that as well. So that's what I want to ask you all and switch gears and talking about that balance. How should the WNBA balance this? Because those social conversations are going to happen. We even saw this, even speaking of the NBA, they did a lot of the political things and still play basketball. It seems like the WNBA is still trying to find their way of how do I balance everything that's going on in society, these social conversations, even these race and political conversations. But we also need to make sure that we're focusing on the very product that we have in front of us, which is actually the game of basketball. I want to start with you, Keena, because you kind of talked about making sure there's accountability and Adam Silver doing what he needs to do because the men's game still, LeBron needs to make an announcement and the schedule needs to be made, right? So you focus on that, right? And the women we have our own things to focus on. So Keena, how can that balance take place?
I think the balance can take place, and I think the WNBA can do something about it by having these conversations and by being intentional with how the conversations are handled. We have to talk about it because it's there, but we don't need to shy away from the real issues. They really do matter and they impact the players, but the key is making sure those moments don't overshadow the game itself. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're not talking about how great Caitlin Clark is doing or how amazing Angel Reese is rebounding. We're talking about the issues they're having. So I think we can talk about it and we need to support the players involved, but we also need to always shift back to basketball because basketball is the main character here and we're losing sight on that. So I think if the league leads with like transparency and then lets the athletes voice and guide the conversation, I feel like it can create space for both things to coexist because we're dealing with both things. We can have those conversations. We can watch basketball games. We can watch Jordan Canada get the last second bucket at the end of the game and be excited and not have to dive back into what someone behind a computer screen is being disrespectful. So I think we should be able to have those conversations and balance it. And that way people can pay attention to what needs to be addressed, but also can really enjoy the game of basketball.
A great point, a really good point to that. I think the biggest question is, well, how do we do that if people are afraid to step up or they don't want to step on toes or things like that? So, Courtney, what are your thoughts on that?
So I had a kind of out of the box thought about how to do that.
Yeah, we love that. Want to hear that.
And it kind of brought me back to like my childhood. I've watched so many WNBA games, whether it's like on the app, on TV. When I was growing up, there were commercials that the NBA had that were like jingles, right? I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Mike. Like, right?
Yeah.
So I think like marketing, there's a lot of dead air in between WNBA games on the app. Where are the commercials that say bullying is not okay? And play those as many times as I get the game break and the little song that plays with the game break. Let's have some more current highlights because there are commercials that show games from historic games, but let's get those things more recent of what's going on around the league and play those on rotation for advertisement. Let's get some more player messages at the beginning of games. I think that's a great thing. You play a message that is standard from the league that is played before every game about how you should conduct yourself, what the league is okay with doing. You'll be put out of a game. Will like consequences if you don't behave a certain way. I think it's important to play those messages at the beginning of every game, and also put people in positions to enforce that. So commercials, marketing of, efforts that are being made, because I'm sure there may be some behind the scene things that are done, panels, forums and things like that, but we don't hear about them. We don't know about them. So maybe some of the commercial spaces, hey, the WNBA worked on this initiative. We did this. We donated to this organization in support of, right? Everything, a lot of things is just time. How much time did you donate to the cause? Did you educate yourself about it? Can you educate the public about it? How do you educate the public about it? So I think, again, commercials, marketing, messages at the beginning of games saying that we don't tolerate it. There's zero tolerance. We don't want it. We don't condone it. So sometimes it's just communication. I think just saying the things, having the conversation.
Yeah, and I love that idea. It's kind of like a state of the WNBA.
Mhm.
If you're part of a lot of member organizations, they'll have state of whatever, state of HR, state of, basketball or whatever it is. Why not a state of the WNBA? I think that's kind of what you're leaning towards, Courtney, where it's like, we're hearing, we know what's going on. Give us the updates as well, so that again, we are in tune to that, because it does seem like there's things that are happening behind the scenes, because I'm pretty sure there are conversations, there's forums, there are panels, decision making being done behind the scenes. But what I'm hearing from you, Courtney, is a little bit more transparency will be helpful, and accountability will be helpful as well. So everybody's accountable, because when you go to the games, they'll tell you, if you do this, that, and the other, we have the right to escort you out of the game. Those things are said as well. So I like what I'm hearing. I don't think it was that much out of the box. I think it was, to me, pretty obvious things that we could do as well. Now, Anne-Marie, what are your thoughts?
Well, I love what Courtney had to say, but I think with everything going on, having, as we've mentioned, like the WNBA commissioner, but speaking up, addressing it, but let's be proactive. Why do we always have to be reactionary? It's like something happens. Why, as Courtney said, why can't we have the WNBA, more Instagram posts, more things? The WNBA does not tolerate, we do not stand for. This is what we do stand for. You know, there's so many new fans. I mean, like you said, a lot of people just started getting involved watching women's basketball. I mean, it's phenomenal for the growth, but there's also an education point that needs to be made to these people of how do we act? How do we treat people? And if you don't, this is what's going to happen to you. But I think the WNBA needs to remind its fan base, the world, and everyone that we stand on, you know, diversity, inclusion, safety. We want our players to be able to feel safe enough to speak their mind, and then also know that at the end of the day, who is in these leadership positions will make decisions and will speak up on their behalf to make sure that the players do feel safe and comfortable. And I think, honestly, I don't remember seeing anything recently that speaks to any of those topics that Courtney's mentioned. You know, it can be, instead of putting game break for 2 minutes on the screen on the WNBA League Pass, let's put a message. Let's have a voiceover. Let's have players. Let's have people who want to speak on this. Give them people an opportunity to use, where there's so many lulls in these games. You can speak to it pre-game, halftime reminder, but it just doesn't seem to be communicated at all. And it's always a reactionary to something that happens that was not okay, that was not condoned. And then the next time it's addressed is when something happens again. There's nothing that's proactive, in my opinion, that's reminding people the characteristics, you know, that you should carry and how to treat people, honestly.
And I want to ask you all a question about the whole idea of DEI. And as someone that's worked as a VP of DEI, representing 60,000 people, I can tell you it's a tall task to be able to accommodate 60,000 people in 140 countries, as I had to do. So I know that there's some challenges that they may have as well. Yeah, Emery, it was a lot. Did it for 2 years. What are some methods that the WNBA can do? And I can give ideas from a DEI perspective, you know, but I want to hear from my panel. What are some things they can do to make sure that the DEI efforts, the things that they're talking about, are actually proactive and not performative? They're not just doing things because it looks good or sounds good or whatever, but they're actually putting things in place to make sure that people feel welcomed. They're intentionally making sure that people are included. But one thing that I want to also ask you all is, how do they make people feel like they belong? That's the hardest of all of them, is how do players, fans, everyone feel as though they can belong in this ecosystem of the WNBA? And I'll start with you, Courtney, because you had a lot of great strategies as far as marketing communication. Well, what are your thoughts of how they can be more proactive when it comes to DEI and also the B in belonging?
That's really tough, because where do you start? And I think a lot of times when it goes like, where do you start with a problem? You go to the data, to the information. Where would that come from? It would be player feedback, right? What is this resounding message from the players, the coaches? And you take that information some kind of way, quantify it, and then make a plan. So I don't know where the data is, where the research is, to be able to say, here is the problem and here's where we start. And I think the first thing that you need to do is get the feedback from the players and the staff and all the people are part of the organization. Now, I think with the players, I'm trying to think of the name. It's I'm getting the letters wrong, but it's the Players Association that represent, the voice of the players. I think that's where you start because they get that feedback, they get that information. So the conversations, not just being the conversations about what happens with the money and everything, you just kind of wonder how often those conversations are happening and how often changes are being made based on the feedback that you get from the players. So more meetings with the Players Association, more transparency with what's going on in those meetings. I think that's the best way. That's the place to start. But I think it's such a convoluted thing and it's so big. It's like, this is a team of people. This is a huge job. So starting with the data and just getting the feedback and having the conversations.
Always start with data, qualitative and quantitative, to be able to know what the problem is, like what is the issue, and then we can handle it. And then, as always, do a state of DEIB for the WNBA once we did figure that out. And Marie and Keena, what are your thoughts of what they can do to be more proactive for DEIB?
That's difficult. That's a really tough question. Like Courtney said, you do start with the data. But for me, if I'm thinking of myself and how I can feel like I belong somewhere is if I see people that look like me in certain positions that I feel like I can go to them with issues I may have. Let's say if I'm dealing with racism with my coach or anything like that, I want to be able to talk to someone above that can feel what I feel. So sometimes having people that look like me or that can understand me and my feelings in those upper positions would be helpful. And I'm not saying they don't have that. I'm just saying that's one thing that can help.
Yeah. Anne Marie, any thoughts from you?
I can resonate in kind of what Keena just said, like people that look like you. And I know I said this earlier, but for me, a lot of times these upper management people are in these roles where sometimes once you're in these upper management roles, it's hard for people to be removed from the roles. You know, you're so far at the top of the food chain. I'm like, who even hires them or who makes these decisions? I was having the conversation the other day, but I think it's players have to feel comfortable and players have to feel supported by these people that are in more leadership roles. The players can continue to say what's affecting them, what's happened, who's messaging them, who screamed something crazy at them while they're walking through the tunnel. But if, in my opinion, if the larger leadership who might not look like majority of the league don't step up and use their voice and advocate, I just see it continuing to be an issue, and I think that the players want this to be addressed. In my opinion, it's not really being addressed, or it doesn't seem to be the forefront of what the WNBA wants to be known for. Yes, if you read about it, that's what it says, but there's no reminders right now. There's no, as we've discussed. So I think people at the top, I mean, you have to be an ally, you have to be an advocate. If not, I think you got to go. I think Kathy, the commissioner, Engelbert, she needs to do a better job. I don't know if the players fully feel supported by her. As we know, this year was a long negotiation, trying to get terms for the CBA and such. But, I just really feel like, as you said, you're going to feel included where you see people that you relate to and that look similar to you, but also regardless of what you look like, this is a place where we all need to be working together to better not only the WNBA and everyone's experiences, but also so much that's occurring in the outside world.
Absolutely. I think that's beautifully said. And I think that we gave really great ideas. Of course, I won't be resolved overnight. This is an ongoing conversation for the WNBA, and of course, in partnership with the NBA, to make sure that this is addressed. And hopefully there'll be some conversations at All-Star Weekend. There'll be a lot of influential, powerful people at All-Star Weekend. So this is a great opportunity for those that have a voice to be able to speak out and get the ball rolling there. Let's talk about some report cards. Who loved report cards growing up? Anybody loved report cards?
Absolutely not.
I loved school. I loved report cards. And right now we're going to give some mid-season report cards out. to a few teams. Now, I don't know if you all are going to agree on some of these teams, but we're now going to ask our panel to give out a report card, and we're going to give out some grades. All right, ladies. I want to know, you got to get two teams here. Which team earned an A? That should be really easy, right? And then which team earned an F? So this should be really fun to hear your thoughts and of course dive into why you think that. So, Keena, I want to hear who's getting an A and who's getting an F from Professor Keena.
All right, let's start with the scholars of the league right now. And I'm going to give my A to the Minnesota Lynx.
Okay.
And the reason why they deserve this A to me is because it's been one of the most complete and consistent teams this season, and they're doing it all without their star player, Nafisa Kohler. So which that makes it even more impressive. Olivia Miles, yeah, I already know how I feel about Olivia Miles. She has stepped in, she's poised, she's playmaking, she's aggressive, and she's playing like far beyond her years. Like she's been here for a while, and I like to see that from her. Courtney Williams, she continues to not only just bring the vibes to the court, but she has a steady veterans presence, and she brings toughness and leadership every night. And then Nia Coffey, she's been one of the most reliable two-way players in the league. All of their chemistry together, their identity is clear. They've shown they can win tough games. Watched one last night that they barely got past, but they got that W. And they're very disciplined. At midseason, they look like they're locked in and fully in control of where they're trying to go, I feel. Now, the F. The F is the Chicago Sky. And the Chicago Sky get an F because even with all the changes they tried to make by removing Angel, bringing in great players, the results look the same. And I really think it has to really do with the unseriousness of their front office. It seems to be and continues to be an issue year after year. And even if you're bringing in players like Skylar Diggins, who now has an issue with the Sky, you're bringing in Rakia. Now, Rakia got hurt, so I can't blame that on her or anything. But you try to reset the roster and nothing has really shifted in a meaningful way. It's just too much inconsistency that's still there. Their late game execution is still an issue. They'll go up in some games, and then when it comes down to those final minutes, they can't get the W. We saw it the other night with Atlanta. Like they came back from being down 22 and still took an L that night, even with Angel Reese off the floor. So on top of that, like I said, the front office it's just a disaster at this point. So it's just like looking at that when you're taking the team and when you're taking the front office, it's just not working. You add in injuries and everything else. It's just no change over the past couple of years. So that's why I'm giving the Chicago Sky an F.
What would you think if I told you that the players are still very optimistic, or at least they say that in their pressers? They seem to be bought into Marsh's system and what he's doing. What would you say to that?
I would say that I'm not saying they have to say that. I'm saying they are optimistic because they want to see change. So I feel like they are optimistic, but once after this midway point, we'll see how they feel a little bit later. I already know how Skylar Diggins feels. So we're just going to go from there. And I feel like maybe they are optimistic. They want to see better for the Chicago Sky. But right now, the math is just not mathing.
I'm going to ask you another question. Do you think Skylar Diggins is going to play for Chicago again this season?
I do not. I think there's more Skylar wants to say too. And I think she's going to end up saying it at some point. And then it's going to be like, okay, well, either she needs to go or she wants to go. So I do not think that I will see her suit up in another Chicago Sky uniform.
Okay. So we're going to note it right here. July 21st, Keena said
She's
not going to play another game in a Sky uniform. Okay, Courtney, let's go to you. Let's hand out those report cards.
I'm going to start right where Keena left off, and I'm giving that F to the Chicago Sky. But I'm going to say for a different reason. I feel like almost like they rage bait players. Like they come there with this promise of this facility, and we still don't see the facility. You get a star-powered lineup, right? You have Dejanay Carrington, who's on the bench. Skylar Diggins. You get vocal players, strong players. Natasha Cloud. and then you don't give them the things, or seemingly not giving them the things that they're promised coming to the organization, and then that's just going to create a bad culture. I think the one bright spot in Chicago has been their rookie who stepped in and played great for them. And I think that's just rookie energy, right? You're new, you just want to get out there and make a name for yourself and play hard and do everything. But that organization and everything that they're doing, it's just really bad. I think it's really bad historically. And at some point in time, when do you make the change or get to the root of the problem to make the change? Because a lot of talent is there and they have a lot of potential, and it's just really sad to see that organization not doing anything. My A is going to go to the Golden State Valkyrie. I think that what Natalie Nikise has done with that team is amazing. They're exciting to watch. The city is bought in. You have Gabby Williams and everybody on that team, Caitlin Chen, they know their role. They play hard in their role day in and day out. And they're just an exciting team to watch. So my A is going to go to Golden State Valkyrie, having almost 9-game win streak. They lost to Washington, but I mean, Washington is one of those teams that, they're having all the tough games. They're very close in these games and they have the potential to do a lot, but Golden State is a tough team, and they're in the top 3 of the league right now. And yeah, I think they're going to be a big part of the conversation later on in the season.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about Chicago as well. You mentioned about a rookie, and I'm assuming you mean Sydney Taylor, because they also have Gabriella Hawkins as well. That's also a rookie there. And so what are your thoughts on that young core? Because Camila is also still very young as well. So they do have very promising young talent there in Chicago. What are some of your thoughts on that young core that Chicago has?
I think, like I said, they have all the pieces in place to be great. But I think this is the importance of morale and team chemistry and having things right in the office and in the locker room, because the pieces are there for them to be great. And you kind of look at it and you're just like, well, why can't they still get it together with the team that they have? And I think it's just that it's defeating sometimes. It's defeating to play such a hard game, and like their facilities aren't top tier. So it's defeating to like go back into a locker room that, you're not necessarily happy to be in with how it looks. So I think the core is great, and it's promising if they can ever get the facilities part of things right, the management side of things right. They have all the things that they need to be a successful team. It was very unfortunate for Rickea Jackson getting hurt, because you kind of want to know what the season would be like if she didn't get hurt. Like, would it still be the same losing streak, or would all these things even matter if they were winning? So I think they still have a promising group. It's just getting everything else together for that organization.
All right. And let's go to our final report card. Anne-Marie.
So my A goes to like Keena, Minnesota Lynx. I think, with Nafisha Collier's injury, I think a lot of people, they have talent, but I think it was just that being their main go-to. And who's going to fill the role, and are we still going to be able to be a contender? And I think not only have they shown they're a contender, but obviously they've shown they're one of the top teams without her. So I just really commend, I think Cheryl Reeve has done a great job making everyone buy into their role. Everyone on Minnesota kind of plays within their role, I think. And I think that's something that's, really important. You have new pieces as Nia Coffey's come in her first season. Her best statistics she has had since being in the WNBA. You had Natasha Howard, great pickup. I love her game. Stretch 4. She can score on all 3 levels. She's versatile. She can pass. She can finish. I think she's really stepped it up a notch, being more in a leadership role and being an all-star, and just great pieces around them. I think Courtney Williams is Spitfire. She is all about who's on her team. She is going to hustle and leave it all on the court. So for me, Minnesota Lynx are the A on the report card. And I had 2 Fs, one being the Chicago Sky, but the other F for me that I wanted to mention was the Connecticut Sun. As we know, they've really struggled this year. They lost a lot of their core. They saw a lot of change. They've also had injuries. You know, Brittany Griner has had some great games, but also she's been sitting with some injuries. Sanaya Rivers, Anissa Morrow. I do think even though they are an F right now, I think that the good news for them is that the future is bright. They're young. They have a lot of energy, but I think they've just been dealing with a lot of adversity so far this season, on top of knowing that a lot of the returners that were making the plays and scoring the points weren't returning. So for me, I would say that the Connecticut Sun is currently an F on the report card for the first half of the season.
And I'm going to ask just very quickly for each of you all, what's the one thing that your Fs can do to maybe move up to maybe a D? One thing very quickly your team that you pick for an F could do to move up. I'll start with you, Courtney.
For me, I would say the Chicago Sky is going to be execution down the stretch. They turned the ball over a lot. Like you said, the game with, like Keena mentioned, the game with the Dream, they came back in that game. They played very hard. But the execution down the stretch and just not turning the ball over so much, that can absolutely help them.
All right, Keena, you mentioned the same team. What could they do?
I don't even know. No, but for real, they could really just find a way to boost their confidence, and that can give them, like Courtney just said, like down the stretch, like if you have the confidence that I'm going for it, and they look so deflated a lot of times. So I feel like having just a little more confidence, and I know that's difficult in this situation, but just, you know, being able to hype each other up and being there for one another and just know that they can do it. Maybe that can change a different game plan from Tyler Marsh, maybe. I don't know.
Anne-Marie.
I think consistency is big for Connecticut. I think there's games where you see glimpses of them being able to compete with top teams, but they haven't shown that they can really do that thoroughly through 4 quarters. So I think for the Connecticut is just trying to be resilient, kind of fight through injuries. Hopefully some of these players will be back that are their big contributors, but really just consistency throughout 4 quarters.
All right. So we're going to stay tuned and see if the things you all said happens in the second half of the season. And now I want to shift gears and talk about players that have exceeded the expectations this season. So what player, that one player, you're like, man, she has done more than I expected her to do. And what has been the key to their success? And so I want to start with you, Anne-Marie. Who has been that player that has just really surprised you so far?
Gosh, I'm a broken record. I had written down Olivia Miles because I truly feel like even though she was a top draft pick, she came in and has just knocked the lid off the expectations for her. We've mentioned her ability to score, her ability to make reads. I mean, she can read ball screens. She can read players coming off staggers, down screen, get them the ball exactly where they need. So I just think she's wise beyond her years and has really stepped into that confident leader that Nafisha Collier's not on the court. You can see that she's still guiding, having conversations. It looks like they have a great relationship, but Olivia's truly stepped into that role. And I do just want to throw a little honorable mention out because I really do feel like even though we were saying Chicago Sky is an F, to me, being undrafted and coming in, number one, making a team undrafted, that's freaking hard. Especially on a team that has a lot of vets, Vandersloot, Azura Stevens. I mean, you have a lot of guards, Dejanay Carrington, Sheldon, a lot of guards that have played. And it's hard. There might be 1 or 2 spots. So hats off to her. And then hats off for her being undrafted, averaging double figures. She's had multiple 20-plus point games. So I think Sydney Taylor is someone that really you have to give your hats off to. Her team isn't successful. She wasn't drafted, but she has thoroughly exceeded expectations being undrafted.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been really surprised about Sydney. And I asked Coach, you know, what is it about her fearlessness that you see? I mean, she stepped up, shot that 3, whether it was going to go in or not. You could see that she was like, this game is on my back. And he talked about how it was to coach someone like her and the other young players, to have that fearlessness. And as again, coming in undrafted, don't have a lot of expectation, and to blow everybody away with the expectations is great. And so I just want to follow up with you, Anne Marie, and ask, what do you think has been the key to her success, other than, of course, being fearless, really not having a lot of pressure to be a top draft pick? What are some other things that have been key to how well she's played so far this year?
I haven't necessarily seen this, but from what I would say, I would just say her work ethic. I mean, when you come in undrafted, you have to be determined. You have to every day put in that extra work. And what she's doing on the court just shows how invested she is and how determined she is to do it, and that I'm going to do it and I'm going to succeed. So I think she just has that grit and that go get it energy. And, you know, if I want to do it, I'm going to do it, and it's on me. And she's done a great job.
All right, now I want to hear from you, Courtney. Who is that player that's exceeded your expectations?
Jessica Shepard. Jessica Shepard all the way. I mean, she's come in being a starter for Dallas. I mean, it started out kind of rocky with that team. I think everybody was trying to get to know each other, get their chemistry together. They had a new head coach, a bunch of new pieces coming into that team. You got AZ Fudd coming in, Jessica Shepard, and just trying to find what role, what blend of team players work, and then finding her role. She's just done a great job rebounding, defending. I think she's had 3 or 4 triple doubles already this season, which is great because she's doing everything that she can to help her team be successful. When you're playing with Paige Beckers, Arike, and AZ, you've got talent around you. And I just think what this team is doing right now is really amazing. They started, like I said, they started out rocky. They're moving up the charts. And I think they're top 5 right now in the league. And I think they'll make a playoff run this year.
Great. And just because I think a lot of people have been surprised by her, and of course, making All-Star selection as well. Very excited to see what she does All-Star weekend as well. Keena.
I'm going to sound just like Anne Marie. I'm going to sound like a broken record because my star is Olivia Miles. Like, she's exceeded expectation because she is a rookie and we weren't 100% sure if what she did at the collegiate level would transfer over to the pro level, but it's like beyond everything. I feel like her key to her success for me is her basketball IQ, her pace control, her confidence mainly, because that's what I really see when I watch Olivia Miles. I see the confidence just exuding from her when she's on that court. And I feel like, unlike Drake, she's here for a good time and a long time. I feel like she's going to always be that girl that we're watching. Like, she's averaging about 19, 5, and 6 per game, plus shooting at almost 50%. So she is the one for me that has really exceeded my expectations. And then I also did have Sydney Taylor as honorable mention as well, but we've already talked about her and she's doing amazing. And I didn't know much about her, but when I started watching her and I watched how she moved up from like not playing at all and then getting into a starting position, even though it's due to injury or whatever, she is owning that court. And I really love to see her shine.
And I'm going to throw this question at you all. You can answer if you like. Is there any player that you're a little disappointed? You wish you saw more of them, or you had higher expectations for them, and they haven't shown you what you thought you would see this season? Anyone want to share with that? I'm looking at Courtney. She's kind of thinking a little bit. Is there anybody that you can name?
I would say Arike. Right. I would definitely say Arike. I'm looking like she's kind of finding her role with the group, but I kind of wanted Arike to have more of a leadership kind of role. It seems like she's playing off of Paige and AZ a little bit more, and Paige is taking more of that point guard role, which I completely expected Arike to kind of own that. But I think she's been inconsistent, and some of the big shots down late in the game, I'm looking for her as the veteran to take those shots and to execute and make the shots. But the consistency with Arike and her shots is just, that's been a little disappointing for me because I know what she's capable of doing. I know that she's capable of absolutely dropping 25 points, 30 points in a game and also distributing the ball. So you just kind of wonder, like, you want her to have that breakout game and that breakout leadership role on that team, but it just doesn't seem to be happening. And that's kind of disappointing for me because as a veteran, I thought she would do that.
But do you think she's also understanding her role and saying, you know what, I don't need the breakout game. I am now in a place where I see we're winning. I've accepted that my role has changed a little bit. Do you think a little bit of that plays into it as well?
Yes and no. I think that she could just be performing better. I think she could just be more consistent with scoring and things that she's bringing to the team. And because she hasn't been, it's kind of been like a default thing. Like, all right, well, I see Paige is a lot more consistent, AZ a lot more consistent, and I just kind of have to falter back and learn this role now. I don't think that was something that she was like, well, okay, I'll give this up. I think she was kind of forced to a little bit.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. All right, Keena or Anne Marie, anybody that you're expecting more from this season?
I was thinking Lauren Betts was going to have a little bit more of an influence over the game. I think just given her height, her success with UCLA in the tournament, I think that I saw her having a little bit more of a role. But I think we have to take into account, I mean, you're playing behind Kiki Iriafen and Shakira Austin, who are seasoned vets who have shown they belong. So for me, I think just not seeing Lauren Betts in the mix and on the court as much as I was thinking, just given her height and how she competed and performed in NCAA tournament as well as for UCLA.
Do you think that it's just kind of knowing her role and understanding that and understanding how she can fit in, or is it more of a developing thing? She's still trying to develop to get acclimated into the WNBA, or a combination?
I would say combination. I mean, I think the speed of the game, when you're a big post, sometimes, laterally you might be a little slower, especially given her height. So I think it is a little bit developmental. I mean, we see glimpses in the game where she is finishing, she is rebound, but I think it's development, consistency, and also just kind of knowing when you're out there with what is your role. You don't need to be taking a lot of the shots given the rest of the roster with Sonia and the other big post players, but I think it's a little mix of both from a developmental standpoint and, truly embracing your role and what the Mystics need from her.
Now we've been talking about players. We've been talking about team. Now it's time to talk about the coaches. It's still in our report card. And I want you all to think about who is that coach that's probably on the hot seat. We've heard a lot of buzz, a lot of things that have happened in the first half of the season. And Anne-Marie, I want to start with you. If there was a coach that you feel was on the hot seat going into the second half, who would that be?
I think given the report card grade that we all kind of agreed on, for me, it's Tyler Marsh with the Chicago Sky. In my opinion, looking at his roster and the amount of veterans he has on the team, very seasoned veterans. I mean, as we mentioned, Skylar Diggins, Courtney Vandersloot, Elizabeth Williams, and Natasha Cloud, Rachel Bain. There's a lot of veterans on this team. And it's not working. There's not flow. There's times on the court where it just does not look cohesive. It looks like a bunch of individuals out there. And, that's the coach's responsibility. We've also seen how he's handled the Skylar Diggins situation, averaging 14 points, over 4 assists. We're going to bench you. So maybe that's the answer. I don't think that was a great decision. I don't think really how he answered questions on it and addressed the issue was great. And now Skylar's sitting on the bench, which is also not the answer for the Sky, but the way he handled it, it seems that, I don't know if the mutual respect is off, but there seems to be something that's going on, whether it's upper management and behind closed doors, that Skylar Diggins is not happy. She mentioned she shut her mouth long enough, and now I'm going to say what I need to say. I thought she was mature early on, stating we can all do things better. It's not just the coaches, it's the players. She took accountability that it's the full team, staff included. And then she got moved to a bench. So I don't know if she said something that irritated Tyler. I don't know if this is actually the game plan or just one of those things that it's kind of like, go against me, then respectfully, you're going to get to sit on the bench. So I don't know if it's a power, what's going on there, but I just think it's really unfortunate given the players they have, the roster they have. They should be competing at a much higher level, given who's on the team.
Yeah, great perspective. Great, Courtney, who you got?
Right on cue with my F as well. Tyler, I know it's only been like a year, but if they did it to Teresa Weatherspoon, Tyler, I don't know. So I agree with everything that Anne-Marie just said. That move with putting Skylar on the bench, that was tough. That's tough to watch as a player, a former player, as someone who knows that she's expressed that she's competed, she's done everything that they've asked her to do. There was just no real good explanation for him putting her on the bench like that, other than the press conference that occurred where she made the comment about, I don't know, that's a Tyler decision. And it seemed like an ego thing to be able to find his moment to get his lick back. And it's like, okay, Courtney Vandersloot's back now, so now you go on the bench. I think that was a bad move for the team, for the culture, for the environment, and definitely for a player who has such a powerful voice and influence on your team. You don't make that person an enemy. You do everything that you can to keep them happy or to develop a relationship with them so that they can continue to perform for you and mold the team. So those decisions, I think they put him directly on the hot seat.
I think Keena may say the same thing, but who knows? She may surprise me and say something different. But Keena, who is your coach on the hot seat?
So I'm kind of going to surprise you because Tyler is the top, but I do have an honorable mention. So I'll talk about that one instead. And I hate to talk about it because I really do like him as a coach, but it's going to be Nate Tibbetts. And that's just because Phoenix has just struggled to find cohesion despite having the veteran talent and the star power that they have. They continue to have defensive issues, inconsistent rotations, and the lack of chemistry is really hard to miss. I really expected Phoenix to be not where they're at right now, but in what they've delivered. But when a team with that much experience still looks completely disconnected with no chemistry, that's when the spotlight shifts to the coaches for the problem.
Okay. All right. So you did kind of switch it up, surprise us a little bit. Now I'm gonna switch it up and I'm gonna ask you all who so far mid-season is your coach of the year. And I'm gonna start with you, Courtney. Who is your coach of the year so far mid-season?
Coach of the year is going to have to be Natalie at Golden State. I think she's doing amazing over there with the team, building the chemistry, building the organization, the fan base, communication. As you mentioned, in pressers, we've spoken about her in pressers and how she's just so open and transparent with everything that team is doing. They have bought in to her system. You can tell with the execution on the floor, they never look confused. They always look like they know exactly where to be and where they're going. And that says a lot about the head coach and the communication that's occurring on the team, that every player knows what's expected of them. And a lot of what goes wrong with Golden State is more performance-based than it is operating within the system, whether they had a low shooting night, missing a couple of defensive assignments. It's not knowing the defensive assignment, it's missing it, like player performance. And I think, again, that speaks a lot to the system that she has there and the players being able to be their best selves within the system. And I think that goes to Natalie all the way and her staff.
And the staff. It's a collective.
Because it's a team. It's always a team. It's never one person. When you have an organization like that, it's not one person that's making that happen. There's her coaching staff, her assistants, all the way down to the trainers and even some of the water personnel. I think an organization like that, you can see it, that everyone is bought into that system. And it's a beautiful thing to watch.
All right, Keena.
I'm going to go with Cheryl Reeve. And I'm going with her because the players just seem like they're having a good time. Like anytime they get that W and they step on that court in sync doing the electric slide, I know they are having a fun time. But I was an oppressor with her preseason. And even though it was a preseason game, she really spoke about the things that her team needed to work on right away. So she means business. I feel like she respects her players. I feel like she protects her players. And as you can see, like they're getting A's from us. And I just think they're doing an amazing job. And she is one of the main reasons for their success.
I want to ask you, Keena, about Coach Reed get a lot of flack, her and Becky Hammond, about complaining a lot about the officiating. How do you think that plays into her being such a great coach, her and Becky Hammond? Even though people say they complain a lot to officiating, how does that resonate with you as someone that says she is a contender for Coach of the Year?
Yeah, for me, when a coach complains about calls and officiating, they're protecting their players because they're seeing something is going wrong where their players aren't getting the fair calls that they're giving someone else. So for me, and especially as me as a fan that's sitting at home complaining about officiating too, that I feel like they're just doing what they're supposed to do and they're protecting their players. There are some coaches that don't say anything when they see their players getting beat up. They say nothing. They don't complain. They don't want the fines. They don't want the problems. But I feel like she stands up for her players. So I'm okay with it. So that's why I look at her as, you know, a contender for Coach of the Year.
All right. Anne-Marie, who's your Coach of the Year so far?
My Coach of the Year was Cheryl Reeves as well. I think we've already spoken to why they got an A on the report card. Obviously, we know Collier is missing, but I think she does such a great job of getting her players on board. Her players bought in. They really seem to just rally around her. I also think she's an advocate and an ally. I think she's someone that the players feel safe. They feel like she has their back. I mean, there's been times where like inclusivity as far as the LGBTQ, we want to win for the gays. So I think she just has a little bit of that fun. And then the players feel like they can relate to her and that she advocates for her players. You know, if she sees something, Cheryl Reeve is going to give you hell if you're a rep, especially if she doesn't agree with you. So I think she has that relationship and that bond that is so important when you're a head coach, because you need to have that cohesive, you know, if you don't, I think it can affect the chemistry a lot. So I really think the chemistry at the Minnesota Lynx and just how they operate there, it really seems to be a great organization, that the team is together and they're as one, where sometimes we don't see that on the court.
Yeah. And Courtney, I know that you said Golden State in that coaching staff. And so I just want to ask you all about the other coaches. So Anne-Marie and Keena, what are some of your thoughts on Golden State and the coaching job that's been done there?
We can see it in the way that they are shelling out these W's. And again, just like Cheryl, I feel like they love being where they're at. They're enjoying playing the game of basketball. They're having fun. So I feel like she's doing a great job too. I mean, those are two that I could see winning, honestly, Coach of the Year.
It could be co-Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't want no ties now.
Someone better win. Anne-Marie, what are your thoughts?
I was just going to say, I think they have a lot of similar attributes as far as where you see a team rallying around them and them having an environment where it's fun. We're going to work hard. I'm going to be an advocate for you too. But it just really seems like the chemistry is really flowing for the Lynx and the Valkyries right now.
Right. Courtney, what are your thoughts? Oh, I'm sure you love Cheryl Reeve as well. What are your thoughts on her?
Cheryl does things for the gays. Of course, we love Cheryl. But I think same thing, that they mirror a lot of good principles. I think Cheryl's a lot more hard-nosed. It appears to be a lot more hard-nosed and strict than Natalie in her approach to things, right? You don't really see Natalie yelling at the refs too much, not intently, but just kind of different in their approaches that way. But I think the biggest difference is, what was the question?
Why you would argue that Cheryl would also be Coach of the Year?
Well, everything that the chemistry, everything that Minnesota has done, being able to bring in pieces, because Minnesota also lost some big pieces as well with the expansion teams. They lost a lot from that team. What was their core identity? So being able to get new people in on the team and then quickly get them on board as well with Olivia Miles and losing, I think Bridget Carlton was a huge, huge piece of what Minnesota was doing last year. Natasha Heidemann, and being able to pick up right where they left off and still continue to look like a cohesive team, a cohesive unit, very important, and speaks to her system and how it works and how she's a great coach.
I'm going to ask one more report card. And I don't, this may be an easy one for you all. I don't know. But this one is, who is your MVP this season so far? All right, Courtney, who is your MVP?
Asia. That's no question. That's an easy one for me. Asia Wilson. I mean, everything that she's able to do, averaging about 25 points per game, rebounding. And the Aces had a lot of transition with their team as well, dealing with the Kennedy Carter thing and still keeping that core identity of that team and her being the leader and handling that so gracefully. I think it's like, yes, Asia again. Yes, because of everything that she does. She's expanded her game every year. Defensively, she's always a presence, scoring on all three levels, and just the leader that she is. You can't say enough about Asia Wilson, what she brings to the game day in, day out, and her leadership on the floor, her voice off of the floor, and just being an awesome, all-around awesome person.
And you know what she said about a three-point shot last night? She said it's growing. So don't let her really start to throw that in her game. I mean, it's going to be like she's already unstoppable, but if she starts to get that solid three-point shot in her game, watch out, WNBA, right? Yes. So, Anne Marie, who is your mid-season MVP?
I'm going with Asia Wilson as well. I think our rookie Olivia Miles could be a contender for the first time since Candace Parker. But I do think that right now for me, it's Asia Wilson. I think she's a leader, not only on the Aces, but a leader in the league. I think she's someone that carries herself with grace and continues to speak up when need to speak up about matters, and also just leading her team. She can score any way you want. She's on the opposite block, help defense. All of a sudden she's blocking. She's all over. Her IQ on the defensive end, just her ability to alter shots, her presence in the paint. And she's also averaging the most points in the paint for any WNBA player. I think it's just over 13 points a game. So she's a force to be reckoned with. And now she's hitting threes in her face too. So good luck.
Right. Good luck, everybody else. Keena, you may surprise me.
I'm not going to surprise you because it's Asia Wilson. Both Anne-Marie and Courtney both had great points about her that I completely agree with. Her poise, her grace, how she is on and off the court, how she dominates at both ends of the court. She is just like, her eliteness is unmatched. She's a person that people actually like, which sometimes is rare. Like, she's at the top of her game and people still love her. They still want to learn from her. So she's doing amazing things. I can't go away from Asia at all. Her and her tambourine are my MVP right now.
The tambourine.
Now, I did hear a name that was thrown out as a possible. Anne Marie said Olivia Miles could be a candidate as well. And so I know that the panel loves Olivia Miles, what she's done this year. So what campaign, if possible, would you have for Olivia Miles being a candidate for MVP as well so far this season? Courtney, I know we talked about this a little bit, but what would be your campaign for Olivia Miles?
I think, she would just really, if they won the championship, I think that puts her right up there to say, we can't deny her this. If she continues to score the way that she has been scoring in the last, I think it's maybe like 8 games, if she continues to increase scoring and maintain the control of the team the way that she has, I think that absolutely puts her right there for MVP. If she can get a little closer to Asia as far as points per game and still rebounding, she's consistent. Assists, she's consistent. I think if she scores a little bit more, I think she might be there.
Okay, a little bit more scoring for you.
A little bit more.
A little bit. Okay, Anne Marie, what about you?
I think her ability to control the pace, she's such a facilitator and a leader on the court. I think her ability to make, we can see her court vision is there, but also her ability to score. I mean, earlier I know Keena mentioned she averaging just under 20 points. She's shooting over 50% from the floor. She's averaging almost 5 rebounds, a steal a game. And then on top of that, she's at about 6 assists. So I think the way she impacts the game is far beyond just a point guard. I think, with her statistics, but also she's been the engine for Minnesota. And I think without Nafisha, they're wondering who's going to be that go-to. Is it going to be Natasha Howard? Who is it? Courtney Williams? Who's going to be that person? And Olivia Miles has been the person that stepped in, has been the engine. Also, just being a point guard, you're the natural leader of the team. People are looking to you to make decisions, to make play calls, and that sort of thing, and trusting you with the ball. And I think has to have all her teams. They know that she's going to do her best. She's going to include them. And she has been that leader as a rookie for Minnesota.
Keena?
Yeah, just her leadership as a rookie is what I've been seeing. Like, you came into this league ready, along with her scoring ability, the way she facilitates the ball, the way she sees the game in her head. She's hard to guard at times. So all those things combined would be like a real good campaign for her. I don't know if she's going to get there, but like Courtney said, if they win the championship, that's a whole different story. So we'll have to see how far they actually go, but she is great.
Right. And future shows, we're going to talk about when Nafisa comes back, what impact is that going to have on Olivia's game. Not today, though. You have to come back. Check us out. Talk about that particular topic. Now we're going to dive back into All-Star. We're going to have a fun segment here. I want to show everybody the starter pool. Of course, there was some controversy about the starter pool. We won't dig into that. But what we are going to do is we're going to have my esteemed panel here. They are going to redraft. So they're going to pick their starters. This is the pool they have. And we know who went where to what team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We already know who picked what on the different teams. But this is your opportunity. You're the coach. You got to pick your starters. You only pick 5 of these players. And I want to know who you are picking if you were the coach of your team. I want to start with Keena. This is your pool. Who's your starting 5 out of this pool?
Okay. So like I can only pick 2 guards. So this is where things kind of got crazy for me. So I'm going to pick Kelsey Mitchell. She's the most efficient right now, and we need scoring. We want to win. So her shot creation, ability to score on all 3 levels, I got to go with Kelsey. Then I got to go with Paige. I know that's probably, we're probably expecting Olivia, but I'm going to go with Paige just because Paige is Paige. Like she's going to immediately come in, do what she's supposed to do. That midi is crazy. She knows how to handle a team. She can facilitate the ball well as well. So I would pick her. And then easy enough for me, I'm going to go with Asia Wilson, of course, because we just talked about how dynamic and how amazing Asia is. So I have to go with Asia. Then I'm going to go with Stewie, because who wouldn't pick Stewie? I love Stewie. She's someone that can kind of give me the same thing as Paige as far as the scoring on all different levels. So I would go with Stewie, and then I would go with Gabby Williams. Gabby has been showing a lot with Golden State. And I remember we talked about this before, and I was going to take her off of the starters. But after watching her a little bit more and seeing her motor and everything, I would go with Gabby Williams.
Okay. All right. Some nice starting 5. All right, Courtney, who you got?
Kelsey Mitchell, first and foremost. I feel like Kelsey Mitchell is that cheat code. She is that player you can just drop her off anywhere, any point in time, and she's going to be able to score. She's going to be able to get to the basket. She's going to shoot the 3. So I'm never going without a Kelsey Mitchell if I have the choice. Then I would go Asia. Absolutely going to go with Asia because I think the pick and roll between the two of them, what do? That's a disaster for anybody to attempt to defend pick and roll with Kelsey Mitchell and Asia Wilson. Third, I'm going to pick up Gabby. Gabby is the person that can go anywhere on the floor. She can defend some of the big post players, but she can also hit the three, and she can excel in the mid-range game. I think the mid-range is something that Courtney Williams is absolutely performing in that area, and I wish more players were taking advantage of the mid-range game, the pull-ups and things like that, because a lot of what we're seeing in the game, I think we're seeing a lot of three-pointers, a lot of layups, but man, I really miss seeing the mid-range game, the one dribble pull-up, the stop and pops. Then I'm going to go with Olivia Miles. Kelsey and Olivia playing together, I think that is a great way to space the floor. When you talk about basketball IQ, Olivia Miles is another player. I feel like she can play on the blacktop. You can take her somewhere, anywhere, and drop her off, and she's going to be able to adapt to the game, whether it's physical or not, and find a way to score and find a way to get her teammates involved. And the other big that I'm going to go with, Breanna Stewart. I mean, she just closes everything up and makes it hard to score. You have, got a glimpse of that when they were in the Olympics. You see Asia and Stewie, they play very well together. Defensively, it's hard to score, but they also know how to put the ball in the basket. So that's my 5.
Okay, Anne-Marie.
So I went with a few of the smaller guards, but I just really love the way that they play. So we're starting with Olivia Miles at point guard. We all know why she's going to be there. I have Paige Beckers as well. And then I have Kelsey Mitchell. I love all 3 of those guards games. I think, having Kelsey Mitchell, she's been averaging over 27 points the past 10 games, averaging over almost 4 threes a game and shooting almost 52%. So for me, Kelsey Mitchell is it. She's proven who she is, what she can do, and she will step up and shine. And then at the post, I have Jessica Shepard, which I love Stewie. But for me right now, Jessica Shepard is just truly impacting the game on all ends. She's talked about how she grew up a point guard. That's why when she rebounds, she brings it up the court. She could keep the ball in her hands the whole time. She can finish. She can get people involved. She's someone who is tied with Angel Reese for double-doubles at 17 so far through the first half of the season. She's had 3 triple-doubles, averaging almost 12 rebounds and over 5 assists for a big. So really showing that she's kind of a point forward. She can distribute. So for me, I went with Olivia Miles, Paige Beckers, Kelsey Mitchell, Shepard, and then, of course, Asia Wilson. So,
I'm just curious of who would win in those matchups of who you all think, because Anne-Marie has a smaller lineup.
Yes,
but
we're a little small.
They're pretty quick though, but they're quick. Who's going to guard them? They're just so. Okay, so on your team, who's going to play point guard? Anne-Marie, who's playing point guard on your team?
Olivia.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Okay. And the other ones are wings. Okay. All right. I like it. Okay. So now I want to ask you all, based on actually how it was selected, the 2 teams that were selected, it's now your time to call it. All right. All-Star Weekend is coming up. We know who was drafted. We know who's on each other's team. I want to know which team is winning. Whose team is going to win? And I want a bold prediction. Okay, I have my pen. I'm going to write it down. Who's going to win? All right, I want to start with, let's go, Keena. Which team is winning? And what's the final score?
All right. I'm going with Team Coop. And I'm going for the score to be 123 to 115.
Okay. Oh, okay. Great. And why do you look? I'm just taking down. I'm gonna challenge you on this. Okay, I just want to know why you feel that team will win and why for that margin, which is not a big margin, but why?
Well, because they have 2 of my faves on the team. They're gonna have Paige, they're gonna have Angel on that team. It's gonna be great. And the number wise, that's just a very random number. Like what I did is I looked at the teams and then I looked at like previous scores and how David, last year was crazy. Like the scoring was wild, but that's why I went with them. I just like everybody that's on Team Coop. I like what they can do together as a whole. That's why I chose them.
I like it. That's right. That's what Kina is gonna say. All right, let's go with Anne Marie. Who's winning and what's the score?
So I went with a little higher score, but I think that Team Weatherspoon is going to win.
All right.
I said 144 to 136. And I have that high score because I think just given this all-star last season, we saw a new record of total points at 282 points. I just feel like with how the three-pointer has really, so many of these players are shooters. I think it's going to be fast-paced. And then also, as we know, sometimes the defense is a little lacking in the all-star game. So I expect it to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be competitive, fun. And I have Team Weatherspoon winning.
All right. Courtney, last but not least, who you got and what's the score?
Oh, Team Spoon all day long. And I go back to the strategy for picking the team. Teresa Weatherspoon has always been known for her defense. Everybody that she picked on her team are defenders. So my score is a little lower. I think the score is going to be like 126, like 105.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I think it's, yeah. I do. Just because of the defensive mindset, the defensive aspect. It's going to be hard to score against Asia and Aaliyah down there in the paint. And then the people coming off of the bench, I think they're going to make it very difficult. You got Ryan and Alicia on the same team. Yeah, 126 about. Yeah. Team Weatherspoon, I'll never go against Teresa.
All right, so Anne-Marie, you went obviously a lot higher. What are your thoughts on Courtney's assessment of why she thinks it's going to be lower? Because you guys picked the same team, but different reasons and different scores.
I think they are in a real game. I just feel that there's a difference when it comes to defense from a real game and an all-star game. I just think the all-star games, we always know it's higher scoring. Sometimes you just kind of let people go, just get the shot. I don't want to foul you. So in my opinion, I think we're going to see some good defense, but I think also people are going to be shooting Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, Paige. They're going to be pulling from far out. I think you're going to see a lot of quick shots in the shot clock transition. So for that reason, I think it's going to be Miller on par with the total points that were last year.
Okay. I like that perspective. A little more lax than in a real game. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So today was our debut of Hoops and Hers. Great episode. We're so excited about All-Star Weekend. Of course, we have our resident on-air analyst who's going to do some commentary for what she's going to be doing in her work, as well as the rest of us are going to be enjoying here back in Georgia. 3 of us are located in the Georgia area. We're very excited about that. Now, before I go, I want each of my on-air analysts to share where you can find them online. So I'll start with Courtney. Give everybody a shout out to your Instagram where they can find you.
All right. You guys can follow me on my Instagram page. If you didn't know, I'm an artist. So you can follow me on my Instagram page. It's Ambivert Art 19. That's AMBIVERT Art ART 19 on Instagram. Ambivert Art on Facebook and TikTok.
All right. Kina, what can they find you?
You can find me everywhere, Nails and Novels on all platforms. That's NAILZ ANDNOVELZ.
All right, Anne-Marie.
So my handle is Annie Mae, which is what I went by in college because Anne Marie was too long. But it's Annie_MA and then the letter 3. So Annie_May, and then instead of E on the end, it's a 3.
Was 3 your number?
3 was my number. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank again my panel, Anne-Marie, Kina, and Courtney, again for another episode of Hoops and Her. Make sure to check us out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. You can check us out on Instagram. You can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, also on the app. Go ahead and download it. KBSN on Roku and Amazon TV. We'll see you again next Tuesday. We'll talk about All-Star Week. We'll talk about what to expect in the second half of the season. All right, everyone. See you soon.